There is a researcher at the University of Budapest who has spent years not training dogs, not measuring their responses to commands, but simply watching them watch. What her footage documents, across hundreds of hours of observation, is this: a dog's attentional focus on its owner never fully disengages. The moment you shift your weight, their eyes adjust. The moment your breathing pattern changes, their nose lifts. You think your dog follows you because they love you. That explanation is true. It is also incomplete. Most owners read the following behavior as devotion, and they aren't wrong to. A golden retriever trailing you to the bathroom at midnight. A border collie pressed against your leg while you cook dinner. An Australian shepherd stationed in whatever doorway gives it a sightline to all 3 rooms at once. We call these dogs shadows, and we assume the behavior is fundamentally simple. Proximity equals affection, and the closer they stay, the deeper the bond. But here's the problem. If following were purely about love, it would be consistent regardless of context. It isn't. Watch a Velcro dog carefully and you'll notice the behavior intensifies at specific, predictable moments. When your voice drops in register, when a stranger enters the house, when your daily routine breaks pattern in any way. Something more precise is happening beneath the surface. Something the simple explanation doesn't fully account for. What your dog is doing every time they trail you across a room is something researchers only recently had the tools to measure. And the answer is considerably stranger than affection. In 2012, researchers from multiple European universities published findings in PLOS One examining how dogs use their owners as emotional reference points during uncertain encounters. The study involved 84 dog-owner pairs, each placed in a controlled room with an unfamiliar mechanical object emitting strange sounds. While the object was active, the owner displayed either a positive expression or a fearful one from across the room. When the owner's expression was positive, the dog approached the object in nearly every case. When the owner displayed concern, the dog retreated, and in 100% of those cases, moved their body specifically toward their owner rather than simply away from the source of threat. Not 70%, not 80%, every single time. But the more interesting finding came from a different laboratory entirely. Researchers scanning dog brains with fMRI at Emory University found that the caudate nucleus, the structure that activates in humans when they anticipate something they deeply want, responded most powerfully not to food, not to other dogs, not to unfamiliar people, but to the scent and the voice of their specific owner. The brain was not tracking humans as a category. It had encoded a specific individual. Your voice, your scent, your particular pattern of movement through a room. But the more interesting finding was what happens inside the dog's brain in the seconds before the following behavior even begins. Veterinary behaviorists studying the canine dopamine system draw a clear distinction between 2 neurological states: liking and wanting. Liking is the satisfaction a dog experiences when they are physically beside you. The warmth of contact, the ease of proximity, the settling effect of your presence in the same space. Most people assume this is the whole equation. It isn't. Wanting is something different. Wanting is the active motivational drive that compels a dog to seek you out before they've reached you, governed by a circuit called the mesolimbic dopamine system, the same circuit that underlies human craving, compulsion, and persistent habit. And here is what makes this distinction critical. Wanting activates before the reward is present. Your dog begins tracking your position before they've reached you. They are not simply following you. They are anticipating you. The wanting system, in dogs bred across centuries for close human cooperation, runs at a permanently elevated baseline. This is not a behavioral problem. It is the design working exactly as intended. Compare that to dogs studied in shelter environments, animals with no consistent human anchor. Behaviorists documenting orientation behavior in shelter populations found that unattached dogs show almost no spontaneous following of individual humans. They track sounds. They track general movement. They do not trail specific people from room to room because no single person has triggered the wanting system strongly enough to be encoded as a primary reward source. In the absence of attachment, the behavior is essentially absent. Now look at what happens when those same dogs are placed with a foster family for the first time. In most documented cases, the following behavior begins within the first 72 hours. Not weeks, not months, 3 days. The wanting circuit, it turns out, does not require prolonged reinforcement. It requires consistency. A reliable presence, repeated across days, is enough to activate what was always ready to engage, which points directly toward the mechanism underneath. This is not a slowly learned habit. It is a biological readiness, dormant and waiting. Dogs are the only animal domesticated before agriculture, before farming, before cities, before written language. Roughly 15,000 years ago, the wolves most tolerant of human proximity began a slow biological convergence toward what would become the domestic dog. In 2017, geneticists studying chromosome 6 in domestic dogs found something that does not exist in wolves. Specific genetic insertions in a region linked to hypersociability and human-directed contact seeking. The drive to stay near you is not a learned response. It is written into their genome, selected across thousands of generations because proximity to humans improved survival outcomes for both species simultaneously. But the mechanism operates at a neurochemical level as well. When your dog maintains close physical proximity to you, their brain releases a continuous low-level stream of oxytocin, the same neurochemical that governs human mother-infant attachment. Think of it as a biological baseline of safety. Your presence is the signal their nervous system uses to determine whether the surrounding environment is stable or threatening. You are not simply a companion. You are a neurological anchor, and their surveillance system is calibrated to a precision most owners don't fully appreciate. Dogs possess what researchers call a left face bias. They scan the right side of your face first because the right hemisphere of the human face is more expressive of genuine emotional state. They also track geometrical gaze direction, following your eyes to predict where your body will move before it moves. Your dog, trailing you down the hallway, is running a continuous predictive model of your intentions in real time. Here is what all of this adds up to. Your dog does not follow you because they are anxious, poorly trained, or lacking in confidence. They follow you because you have become, at a neurological level, their primary source of safety information in an environment full of variables they cannot control. Every room you disappear into is a room where their threat assessment system has temporarily lost its anchor. The following is not a symptom. It is the optimal strategy of a brain built to stay close to the one signal it trusts completely. Here's something that rarely gets mentioned outside of veterinary behavioral research. A 2022 study published in Scientific Reports examining attachment classification in domestic dogs found that securely attached dogs, those who follow their owners closely but can settle calmly when separated, showed significantly lower cortisol levels throughout the entire day compared to dogs with anxious attachment profiles. The Velcro dogs, the followers, the ones stationed outside the bathroom door every morning, these were not the most distressed animals in the study. They were the most neurobiologically stable. Following is not what anxiety looks like in this species. Following is what health looks like in a species designed for proximity. Think about the dog somewhere near you right now. The one who repositioned their resting spot 3 times today simply to remain within your sightline. The one who woke from a deep sleep the moment you shifted in your chair. They are not being clingy. They are doing exactly what 15,000 years of shared evolution equipped them to do, keeping their nervous system calibrated to the one presence in their environment that signals everything is safe. That presence is you. If this changed how you see the dog who follows you from room to room, subscribe so we can keep making content that takes their interior world seriously. What's one moment where your dog seemed to read a shift in you before anyone else in the room noticed it? Drop it in the comments. Next week, we're looking at what happens inside a dog's brain during the 2 minutes before their owner arrives home, how they know, and what the research found about the precision of that internal tracking system. It's stranger than you'd expect.